There's nothing more baseball than polyester and rubber. That's right, we're going over the MLB 2020 Clubhouse collection, and it starts right now. Honestly, I saw these a couple of weeks ago and I hesitated to go over them because I wasn't sure how I felt about the rubber logos on there. Now that I've sat on it for a little while, it's kind of grown on me. It's not, they don't look bad. It's a well-manufactured rubber, so I don't think it's anything that's gonna stray or look bad after a while. First of all, I will say that the New York Yankees, the Miami Marlins, and the Milwaukee Brewers hats are all their standard looking hat. They don't look any different other than that it's a rubber logo instead of their normal embroidered logo. So I'm not gonna really waste too much time on those. Most of these do go with their alternate or standard logo. So there's nothing too surprising here. They didn't really go crazy like they did with the spring training hats, and they try to do a different type of design. Let's dive right in here. St. Louis Cardinals. You know, it's hard for the St. Louis Cardinals to go away from their classic logo. Like, everybody really loves the Cardinals look. It's one of the best looks in baseball. It's just so hard to stray when you have a great solid look like that. So this one has an alternate logo. I haven't seen it very much. Honestly, if you didn't tell me it was the St. Louis Cardinals, if it didn't have that little hat on there, I would think this is a Louisville hat. So I don't know how much that works for the Cardinals in general, but I don't mind that for a Clubhouse collection that they're gonna stray a little bit away from their normal look. Have a little fun, it's baseball. Kansas City Royals one, you know, this is an okay logo. I don't mind it in certain situations. I don't know that it works too great with a hat because the crown kind of disappears into the white background. Like, the hard thing with graphic design is, you know, not all designs work well on the same type of medium. So when you put something on a piece of paper versus on a hat or on a graphic on TV, it can look great, and then when it transfers onto something like a hat, it doesn't look as good. They're not gonna look great on everything. And sometimes that's gonna suffer. So here, I think, is one of those, so I'm not too big of a fan of it. The Phillies one, you know, I kind of miss their old logo. This one hasn't quite settled on me yet. It does, you know, I like the Liberty Bell, I like the Phillies script in front of it, but I liked the shape of the baseball diamond in the other one. It was a nice look. I don't know why they felt the need to go away from it. I do like that they've gone with the different type of color scheme. I just don't know if I like the way that this logo particularly looks. It's not a bad logo, I just like the old one a little bit better. I'm a huge fan of the Oakland Athletics elephant logo. It's a really cool logo for baseball. It's not the kind of thing that really jumps out at you, but I do really like it a lot. On this hat in particular, I think it works really well. Anytime that they can try to stay a little more away from white, you know, this is one of my favorites all time. It doesn't have any white in it. It is the hunter green with the yellow on top of it. I think this was just a really cool look. I really liked when Jonah Hill was wearing it in Moneyball. It's still one of my favorites. So anytime that the Athletics will come out with a hat that doesn't have as much white in it, and it kind of sticks to just the green and the yellow, I'm a real big fan of it. Baltimore Orioles. So again, the same way that I was not a fan of their spring training hat, I am a fan because this one is outlined. So this logo really pops off of this hat. I like it a lot. I think it'll work really well in any type of situation if you're a fan and you want to have an authentic looking type of hat, something that the players will wear in the clubhouse or on the field. I think it's a really good adaptation of this particular logo. As far as all of their hats go with this particular type of logo, I think this one's top notch. New York Mets, you know, I think it's a good logo. It's busy. Some people don't really like it. I think it's a pretty cool one. It has the skyline, it has a baseball. It incorporates, I think where it kind of struggles is it incorporates all of the colors all at the same time, and that can be pretty hard. I do kind of wish that they would stick to the blue and the orange and just kind of let white be a trim. I do think white is a little too present in this logo. It's not terrible, but it's not, you know, the best overall. This is a pretty sweet hat. I do like the orange New Era logo on the side. Toronto Blue Jays, I'm wearing the Blue Jays hat right now. I do really like this particular logo. When they just go with the red maple leaf, I don't love it as much because if you're not a big baseball fan, you're not really gonna know what that is. It's not like a straight logo. It's more of a country type logo. I'm not a huge fan of it. This one has a light blue outline. I know they're going with the light blue jerseys this year. Clash of the different types of blues, I don't know particularly works. In some situations it does. On theirs, I don't know that it is the best. So overall, C+. Detroit Tigers, I like the Tiger logo. I don't think, again, they're kind of in the situation with the Cardinals where you don't want to have, you don't want to stray too far away from that classic Old English text D logo. But if you want to go for something like this, these are supposed to be a little more fun, so go with the tiger logo. It's not bad, it doesn't look terrible on it. It's a little bit of a darker blue. It looks darker than normal for some reason. I don't know if it's just my computer screen here, but overall it's not bad. Atlanta Braves. This is one of the more busy logos that Atlanta has. It's not bad. I don't know that it's great for on field. It's another situation where this probably looks a little bit better on TV than it does on a hat. What works with Atlanta's logo is it's very simple and it's not too busy. This one is a way busier than any other Atlanta logo that I've ever seen. So if you're an Atlanta fan and you like the logo for that same reason that I do, you know, it's gonna work a little bit differently. I don't know how much you're gonna like it, but you know, overall, it's not a terrible hat. San Francisco Giants, Los Angeles Dodgers, these, you know, you got your standard logos. These logos have been around for a while. They're not anything new that you're gonna see on there. If you do like having that type of logo on the hat, these are not bad. I think you're gonna like these quite a bit. All right, now we're starting to get a little more fancy here. Arizona Diamondbacks. You guys know I'm a big fan of the Diamondbacks look here. This one is their standard Diamondback snake logo, but it does have that turquoise trim in there. I have mixed feelings about that. I know that they're trying to bring back sort of a look like they had with the World Series. I did like the purple and green. I know a lot of fans really like the purple and green. They do throw back to it every once in a while. I don't know how I feel about adding the turquoise into this particular logo scheme. On this hat, it's not bad. It really does kind of help that logo pop off. The turquoise New Era logo does accentuate it a little bit. So overall, it's not a bad hat. It's probably not the first one that I would pick. I'm a big fan of the A logo, especially like the spring training one. I thought that was a great logo here. So it's hard for me to argue. I like it a little bit. If it was white, I might like it a little bit better. I don't know how I feel about the turquoise. Boston Red Sox, you're used to this Two Sox logo. We've seen this on spring training hats. We've seen it on other types of hats. If you're a fan of that logo, I think you'll like this. The rubber, I think, really helps to keep the logo cleaner. And I think that's probably why New Era went with that for these. It allows it to look a little bit more like a computer graphic than it does an embroidered logo. This one I think does kind of pop in that way a little bit, so overall I like it. Washington Nationals, you know, it is their standard logo. Again, if you're a fan of that logo, you'll probably like the hat. I think if you're gonna have more of those types of logos on these hats, I think it is gonna help it a little bit because it is gonna make the writing more legible. So in this one, I think it'll work. If this was embroidered, I don't think it would look very good. Texas Rangers, I like the T logo on top of the state outline. I think it's pretty cool. I know that they use this as sort of an alternate hat too, so it's not bad. If you don't like the embroidered and you want to go with something a little bit different, I think this will work. Tampa Bay Rays, I'm struggling to get a grip on what Tampa Bay is really trying to do. It feels like they're not sure how they want to move forward with their overall look. They keep bringing in this logo that I like, but it is so many different colors put together. It is navy, light blue, purple, green, yellow. It's too many colors. And it looks okay. It's got kind of a retro look to it, but I don't know how you would adopt that into a uniform kind of color scheme. I don't know if they're gonna go with some kind of jersey to match it at some point. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. I don't know, but you know, I'm just not sure exactly what they're doing with this logo beyond just kind of throwing it on a couple of hats and a couple of things here. It is a very detailed logo, so I do think the rubber is going to help keep those details from kind of spreading around too much. So if you like this logo, you'll like this hat, obviously, but overall, I don't know what Tampa Bay is really doing. Feels like they're kind of halfway. They haven't committed either way, and that's, you know, it's up to them, but whatever. Los Angeles Angels, I'm a big fan. I miss the California Angels. I loved that CA logo. You know, I think that was a really cool look. I wish they'd go back to it. This kind of reminds me a little of it because it does have the whole state of California in there. It does have a star on Los Angeles to where they are. I do like that it brings a little bit of that feeling back into it. So overall, it's not bad. I'm not a huge fan of the Angels logo. The red on red, it's just too much red. This obviously has that because the state is red and the hat is red, so it has a little bit of it, but it does kind of throw in a little bit of that yellow, a little bit of the white. The outline really pops out from it. I think this is a solid hat. Chicago Cubs, I'm gonna say the same thing that I've said about a lot of them. If you like that secondary logo, you're gonna like the hat. Not too much to say about it. Other than that, it's not going too crazy. Overall, I like it. Cincinnati Reds, I love Mr. Redlegs. He's a great mascot. He is a great carrier for it. Here, I think it works pretty well for the Reds. If you want to bring that character in there, I think this is a solid way to do it. Minnesota Twins, I think the Twins have a nice look to it. I think that they balance the red and the blue really well with most of their logos. In this particular one, you know, having a close-up view of it, pull it up a little bit closer here. This is another one where it's helped out by the fact that it is a rubber logo, and I'm kind of glad that they decided if they're gonna have that medium to work with, then, you know, take a risk and go with something that is a little more out there, a little more detailed, that you can have some of those finer details with rubber. This one I think works out pretty well. This is one of your busier logos. In any other material, in any other medium on a hat, I think this would have a lot of trouble. If this is embroidered, I don't think you'd be able to make out half of what's going on here. If you want something that's a little different that you're not gonna see on a ton of hats, I would probably go with this if you're Twins fans. If you were looking for something that's a little more traditional, a little more simplistic, I don't know if this one's the one for you. Colorado Rockies. There's a few teams in Major League Baseball I think are in desperate need of a refresh. Colorado Rockies is one of them. They've barely changed their jerseys since they came into the league. A couple of tweaks here and there with a couple of colors. This hat I like. I like this Rocky Mountain logo a lot. So on this particular one, they do outline it in white like they didn't do with the other version for the spring training one. So I'm glad that they did that. This would probably be one if I was in the market for a Rockies hat, which I may or may not be. It's probably my favorite Rockies logo, so I'm glad they went with this one. I think the size of it kind of goes pretty well with the hat because it is a little more oversized than you would normally get on a baseball hat. I think this looks really good. This is one of my favorites so far. Cleveland Indians, they're still trying to figure out the identity without Chief Wahoo. Glad they got rid of that. They're kind of in the middle between three logos. You've got this cursive I, you've got your standard block letter C, and then you've got a little bit of a Stone Age looking C that they sometimes go with. If I was gonna pick between all three, I would probably go with the more Stone Age looking C. This is not my favorite version of this because it's kind of hard to make it out as an I. To be honest with you, it kind of looks like a J. I don't know that anything Indians right now is going to stand the test of time, maybe not even the name. So this one may or may not work out. Pittsburgh Pirates, I love the Bucko logo, so this is a really solid one. Not too much positive or negative to say. I am glad that they outlined it because I think that was a big flaw in their spring training one. Overall, solid hat. Chicago White Sox, you know, there's not too much to say. They're going heavy with this logo. They have it on their spring training hats the last couple of years. They have it on this one. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's just not something that's really, it doesn't spark much. But, you know, overall, I think this is another so-so one. I don't know that it's one that I would particularly want to get. You know, a black and white color scheme, there's not much you can do. Seattle Mariners are another team that I think is a little bit of in need of a refresh. I like the colors. I just wish that the teal was a little bit of a brighter teal. I like this logo a lot. You know, I almost feel like the white outline, it might even be a gray, but I don't think it's quite bold enough to really help. I wish that the outline was a little bit bigger. I think that might make it pop off a little bit more. If I was gonna go with this logo, I would probably go with a different one. I don't know that this is the best version of that logo. Houston Astros, it's a solid look, solid hat. You know, it's not bad if you're a Houston Astros. If you insist on being a Houston Astros fan still, then, you know, this is probably a good one for you, but whatever. And then finally, the San Diego Padres. I don't know. I don't know if this going back to the brown and yellow is really gonna work for me. In some cases, I think with just the brown hat and the yellow SD, I think looks really good. This swinging friar, I don't know if it's ever gonna be one of my particular favorites. Again, I wish that there was an outline. This is one of the only ones that doesn't go with much of an outline on it, and I don't really know why. Again, if you kind of go back, it looks like a banjo. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this logo in any sense. Brown is a tough color for sports teams. It really is, and I don't know that there's really a solid way. We'll see what happens when Cleveland Browns come out with their new jerseys. I don't have very high expectations. It'll look okay. I think it'll look okay in the overall ensemble on the field. I don't know that these hats are going to look great for everyday fans not wearing a similar type of uniform. Like, it's gonna be hard to match, and I think that's the problem with brown in general on a hat, especially on these ones. I do wish that the logo was outlined a lot better. Overall, it's not for me. If you're a fan of this color scheme, go for it. You know, I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about the rubber logos. After looking at them and seeing how the detail really kind of pops on some of these, especially secondary type of logos, it's actually not bad. If you're a fan of these secondary logos, then I would really strongly suggest picking some of these up. I don't know if I will. I think these look really good in the 3930 version like I'm wearing right now. If you like the stretch fit style that has a little more of a curved brim to it, I think these look really good. So overall, I think these are really good fan hats. I don't know if I'm particularly a fan of them on the field, but overall, I think these are solid caps. Thanks for joining me. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you see when I post more stuff. Make sure you're following me on social media so you can see all kinds of cool stuff that I post on there. Opening day is right around the corner, so I have plenty more to talk about for baseball hats. Until next time, I'll catch you later.